Welcome, BSN community. I'm Crystal Berger, and we are so excited to partner with the Black Speakers Network for this year's Equity and Leadership Summit. We've come together with a pool of dynamic talent that are going to speak to you about what it means to have not just equal workspaces, but equitable ones. That means that you're climbing your career path, you're owning your space, but more importantly, you can dominate in your industry. We have leaders that have come from sports and entertainment, social activism, politics, you name it, we've got it. Now, let me just share a little bit about me. I'm Crystal Berger, the founder of EBO, and we're an on-demand talent booking technology. What we do is we connect subject matter experts to media outlets on demand within minutes. But more importantly, we vet talent in seconds. And so what does that mean for you? That means that we create equitable spaces through the use of automation and artificial intelligence. We're so honored to be here today to give you the keys, the tools, the tips, and even those stories to help you not just survive in your workspace, but to thrive. So what we want to encourage you to do is to think about, what does equity and leadership mean for you? What does that mean in your career? But more importantly, how can you get little nuggets all throughout today's summit that will help you not just grow, but blossom in your spaces? So we hope that you enjoy this summit, some of our dynamic talent, and also the fundamental resources that you need to have equity and leadership. And remember to stay connected at joinebo.com. And if you want to get your profile media ready, go to Vettify.ai. That's Vettify.ai. And we'll share with you all of the keys to be prepared to get seen and heard any and everywhere around the world. I'm Crystal Berger, the founder of EBO, and I'm so excited to go on this journey with you to equity and leadership.
My name is Dr. Jen Fry, and I am excited to chat with you. So what we're chatting about is we are chatting about conflict as a subset of DEI. So before we go to the future, we have to talk about the past. So I come to you from college athletics. I was a college volleyball coach for about 15 years. I coached all over the US. I coached at Washington State in the Pac-12. Can we also say RIP to the Pac-12? It's another story for another time. I coached at Illinois, and in 2011, we played for a national championship in which we lost to UCLA. So if you are a UCLA grad, just saying, you can't beat me in a championship and then expect that we're going to be good friends. Just saying. And so after I left Illinois, I went and coached at Elon for a few years. And that's where I started to see that the conversation between race and sport wasn't talked about the way I thought it should be talked about. So I decided to leave coaching and become a professional speaker. And that time I decided this is an amazing time to get a PhD. So I decided to get my PhD at the best Big Ten school, Michigan State. So again, come at me if you're a Big Ten person. And so I got my PhD in sports geography. So I am a trained sports geographer. I look at race, place, and space in relation to Black female athletes in Europe. So if you think about Brittany Griner and that whole situation, that is absolutely my wheelhouse. And I love to chat about it. So when I graduated with my PhD, I saw that there was a space in tech that wasn't being worked on in terms of group movement. So I decided, as well as being a professional speaker, as to be a tech founder. So I started that second company. And so as a professional speaker, I sat at the position of the intersection of race and sports. And I say I sat there because one of the things after doing webinar, speaking engagement, is I realized that so many people say that I've read the books, I've watched the movies, but yet I'm afraid to talk to my friends and hold them accountable. I'm afraid to raise my hand in a meeting and say, hey, boss, what you're saying is problematic and harmful. I'm afraid to tell my spouse that their friends are harmful and problematic. And so what I realized in talking about race and talking about DEI was that people could read all the books, watch all the movies, but they weren't willing to engage in the conflict. And the conflict was a critical and necessary part of DEI. And so because of that, I said, well, let's take it back again. We got to go to the past. Let's take it back a step and let's talk about people's personal relationship to conflict. Because if we start to understand their personal relationship and they start to understand their personal relationship to conflict, well, they're going to peel back their layers to then be able to advocate for DEI on a way higher level. But we have to get people to self-reflect and see who they are, and especially how they got to be who they are. And so what I love doing as a professional speaker is, baby, I take you all the way back. We pulling off some scabs, I hate to say. Because what we're looking at with your personal relationship to conflict is we're looking at how your parents manage conflict, how your family manage conflict, how your caretakers manage conflict, how your friends manage conflict, because all of that is interwoven. And I think that's a critical part we have to understand is how you grew up with conflict swirling around you is a critical part of who you are. You might do the same thing that was done to you, or you might say, because of how it was done to me, I never want to do that. So you go on the very opposite end of the spectrum. But it's critical to do great and hard DEI work. You must understand your relationship to conflict. You have to understand, well, I saw my parents arguing and my mom put a hole through the wall. So that's made me really aggressive, maybe because I saw her do it. I think I can do it. Or it's made me really conflict avoidant. And anytime conflict occurs, I want to stop it or not even have it occur around me. And I think it's so important that we pull back those layers, because then when you start to realize, well, I grew up in a household that everyone told me kids should be seen, not heard. And anytime I said something, I was immediately stopped. Well, that makes me not want to advocate for myself or set boundaries. And so now I have a hard problem advocating for myself, much less advocating for someone else, even if it goes against my moral compass, what I see. And so for me, it's really important that we think of conflict work and DEI work as going hand in hand, and they really layer off of each other. Because when we get people to start understanding that, well, I'm conflict avoidant because of these things happening in my past life, I'm conflict avoidant because anytime conflict occurred, physical violence or mental violence would occur. So now I just don't even have it happen. And now that I think about it, man, it's affecting my friendships because I'm afraid to have honest conversations with them. It's affecting my personal relationships with my partner because anytime a hard time comes or something I have to say that's difficult, I completely fall apart from it. And so that's why it's important that we have conflict and DEI hand in hand, because people that don't know how to set boundaries, people who don't know how to self advocate, aren't going to fully advocate for other people. And that's a big part of the work. And so that's why for me, I come from college athletics, getting a PhD, talking about the intersection of race and sport, to now talking at the intersection of conflict and culture. Because how your conflict methods are in your office is your culture. You cannot have a positive culture and no conflict. Like that doesn't work. The reality is that harmony is not the absence of conflict. You won't have a harmonious and positive culture if conflict is zero. Because in reality, there's conflict people are just afraid to talk about because they've been shown if they talk about it, it will be nipped in the bud immediately and there could be repercussions. And so that's why we have to really get so real and so close. We have to be really tight with our methods of conflict, with our relationship to conflict, to how we grew up with conflict, because then we can see how it starts to affect the culture we want to have in our office. Because if you can understand your method to conflict, your relationship to conflict, when things come up in your office, you're more welcoming of it happening. You're saying, well, this is a normal part of office culture. We want people to be in conflict. We want people to give feedback. We want people to set boundaries. We want people to hold each other accountable. That's all part of conflict. Conflict arises when I have to tell you no. Conflict arises when I have to advocate for myself for higher pay. Conflict arises when I have to push back against your idea. And that's okay. We've become a society that is so afraid of people emoting, people having feelings, that when conflict happens and someone emotes a little bit, we immediately have to just stop doing it versus saying, yeah, this is really hard and we're going to get through it. And we have to push against your edges. What we tend to see in DEI programs within offices is that people don't want to acknowledge that when you're doing the internal work, you're going to push against your edge. Time and time again, you're pushing against those edges. And it's hard. It's hard because you're pushing against your edges. You are pulling off scabs. You're reopening wounds that you really thought were healed. But that's also the only way to do this type of work. The only way is to open yourself up to not only other people, but also to yourself, to realize that I might be the reason why people don't want to give me feedback. I am the reason that people don't want to hold me accountable and instead just go over me to my boss. I'm the reason why people don't want to engage in conflict. That's a hard pill to swallow. And it's the necessary steps to push forward to change yourself. And so that's what I love doing as a professional speaker. I love to help people as they grow through self-awareness, self-reflection, to think about how can they become better humans. Because the work that I do, it's not about being an amazing coworker, an amazing boss. That's a byproduct. My goal is to help make better humans. And a part of being a better human is to understand your relationship to conflict and how it's affected your personal relationships, your friend relationships, your family relationships, hell, your relationships when you go to the grocery store and you meet new people. Because all of those things added up, if you're working on that, the byproduct is an amazing coworker, is an amazing boss. It's someone that can self-reflect. It's someone that can say, I didn't realize I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry about that. I'll make sure to work on that language choice. The way to be an amazing coworker is to be able to say, thank you for holding me accountable. And inside you might be like, oh, that hurts. The knife's in my heart. And you're able to say, thank you for helping me become an amazing coworker. Thank you for telling me this. I appreciate it. And so the thing I want to leave you with is conflict work and DEI work go hand in hand. And that's why I love what I get to do. I get to help people become better humans for others, but most importantly, for themselves. So I hope that this has helped you at least think about the ways that you can work on to be a better human so that we can really change society. Thank you.
It's your girl Dashana, CEO and founder of A Passport to Breathe. And before we jump into the world of artificial intelligence, let's take a moment to appreciate how far we've come. Remember the days of rotary phones and VHS tapes? Or what about the unmistakable sound of the internet dialing up as we eagerly awaited to hear, "You've got mail," on our AOL account? These relics from the retro edition of our lives were the cutting edge tech of their times, each one a stepping stone that brought us to today. Just like we transitioned from floppy disks to cloud storage, from Walkmans to streaming music, we're now moving from the simplicity of these tools to be the complexity and possibility of AI. Each innovation we've experienced has laid the groundwork for the next. They taught us to adapt, to learn, and to embrace the new. And that's exactly what AI does. Artificial intelligence is not a sudden emergence. It's a product of our consistent desire to push boundaries and make life a little easier, a little more connected. So as we reminisce about the good old days, let's also get excited about what's to come. The same way we marveled at the ability to rewind a tape, today we marvel at AI algorithms that can predict, automate, and personalize our experiences in ways we never imagined. Picture this. At the young age of 45, when society starts hinting that you should be planning your retirement party rather than your next big academic move, well, I decided to flip the script. I went on what many would call an impossible quest. I earned my master's degree in a mere 12 weeks. Yes, 12 weeks. And as strange as it may sound, my success was because of AI, my not so secret sauce. Now, before you start thinking, oh, I hired a robot to do my homework, let me clarify. AI helped me transform the battlefield of adult education. By using AI, I crafted workflows that turned mountains of coursework into manageable molehills. Research that would typically take weeks was condensed into days thanks to smart algorithms that sifted through academic papers, pinpointing exactly what I needed. AI became my study buddy, tailoring my learning process with precision. It was like having a personal tutor who knew exactly when I needed a break and when to buckle down because my brain was in the zone, honey. With my years of project management experience, it was a breeze to identify and train AI tools that kept me on track for my deadlines, ensuring I never missed a beat. If I could sprint through a marathon like earning a master's in 12 weeks, just imagine what else we can do. Choosing the right tool can be daunting. I mean, it's a world exploding with AI solutions. But I want you to fear not, because you can survive this jungle by choosing one task at a time to transform with AI. Imagine having a suite of AI tools at your fingertips, each designed to streamline a specific part of your day. It's about making AI work for you and customizing it to fit your workflow. But how does this relate to you, especially the leaders among us? AI isn't just a personal tutor, it's a powerhouse for enhancing leadership productivity. Imagine an AI that sifts through your emails, prioritizing them so you can focus on what truly matters. Or a digital assistant that manages your calendar, reminders, and even automates data entry and processing. Imagine automated report generation, task assignments based on your team's expertise and performance monitoring that keeps you updated on your KPIs without even breaking a sweat. Consider the transformative impact of AI in HR, from streamlining the onboarding process to automating training schedules. Think about the efficiency of managing your social media presence, your customer service, and even inventory without getting bogged down in the minute details. AI-driven automation is not just about offloading work, it's about elevating your leadership to focus on strategic thinking and decision making. As we integrate AI into our daily routines, from scheduling to customer engagement, we're not just optimizing our workflows, we're unlocking a realm of possibilities. It's about choosing the right AI tools one task at a time and customizing them to our unique workflow. Tonight, I will demonstrate a live chat GPT use case, making the complex simple, showcasing how AI can bridge to your next big leap, whether it's bidding for a contract or pursuing lifelong learning. Check it out. Listen, in wrapping up, remember AI is a journey intertwined with discovery, innovation, and the untapped potential of the human spirit. My story is a testament to what's achievable when we embrace AI, not just as a tool, but as a partner in our quest for growth, efficiency, and new horizons in leadership, personal development, and beyond. AI is the key to opening accelerated paths to education, to enhancing our professional lives, and to forging new trails into leadership and lifelong learning. The human spirit combined with AI is indeed unstoppable. So let's get on this journey together. Leverage AI to redefine the possible and transform the landscape of leadership and learning. My name is Dashana Jefferies, and you can follow me on Instagram at a passport, the number 2, breathe.
Your AI product manager and developer, here to chat about AI and how it can change lives for the better. As an advocate for diversity and inclusion in the tech industry and the owner of No Code for Change, I've seen firsthand the incredible impact AI can have. And today I'm excited to tell you how we're making AI accessible to everyone through no-code platforms. Traditionally, AI development can be pretty complex, requiring advanced coding skills. But did you know only 6% of the people in the world know how to code? So no-code AI platforms, though, are changing the game. They're offering intuitive interfaces that allow everyone to create AI-powered solutions without needing extensive coding knowledge. For example, let's say you're a small business owner looking to automate your customer service. With no-code AI platforms like ChatGPT, you can easily build a chatbot to handle common inquiries without writing a single code. Now you might be wondering, what's the difference between regular AI and no-code AI? Well, traditional AI development involves writing complex code, which can be extremely stressful and just not that fun for people. Now, no-code AI, on the other hand, provides simplified tools and interfaces, making AI accessible to a broader audience. Let's take the example of creating a recommendation system for an e-commerce website on Shopify. With traditional AI development, you need to write algorithms from scratch. But with AI no-code platforms like Monkey-Learn, you can use pre-built models, drag and drop interfaces to quickly set up a recommendation system tailored to your needs. By making AI accessible to all, we're giving everyone a chance to participate in tech innovation, regardless of their background and technical expertise. Diverse teams bring in 19% more revenue. So it's not just about equality, it's about boosting success. No-code AI is also helping to break down barriers for unrepresented communities, including the Black community, by providing them with tools to enter the tech world. Let's consider the case of a Black entrepreneur. Now, this Black entrepreneur has a brilliant idea for a mobile app, but limited coding experience. With no-code AI platforms like Bubble, they can bring their vision to life without relying on external developers that cost a lot of money, empowering them to pursue their entrepreneurial dreams theirself. Now, historically, the Black community has faced challenges in accessing tech opportunities, contributing to inequality. But no-code AI is changing that narrative. It's empowering Black innovators to overcome these barriers and make their mark in the tech industry. Now, let's be real. We need more diversity in the tech. Despite being 13% of the US population, Black individuals only hold 7% of tech jobs. To put that in perspective, that's 13% of the population competing for just 7% of jobs. That is not a gap. and we need to bridge that fast. No-code AI opens up endless possibilities, from streamlining business processes to improving healthcare solutions in our community. People from diverse backgrounds and skill levels are leveraging these platforms to create impactful projects. This includes Black individuals who can now access AI technology and gain practical experience without the traditional barriers. No-code AI empowers Black innovators to participate in tech, innovation, and entrepreneurship, creating pathways to more advanced STEM careers. With no-code AI, Black innovators can become creators, not just consumers of technology. They can develop solutions that address unique problems faced by their communities, driving positive change from within. So, for instance, consider a young Black student interested in environmental science, we'll say, but lacking programming skills. With no-code AI platforms like Power BI and TensorFlow, they can build interactive visualizations of climate data that can be gathered through data analysis or Kaggle. Now, this will foster the interest in STEM and pave the way for future contributions into the environmental field. We need to address this tech gap and ensure equal access to technology for everyone. And that's where no-code AI comes in. It's bridging this gap by providing accessible tools that empower individuals and communities to strive in the digital age. Did you know that over 3 billion people worldwide lack internet access? This is why we highlight the need of having accessible technology. No-code AI isn't just about leveling up the playing field. It's about reshaping it entirely. It's about creating a future where talent and innovation know no boundaries, where anyone with a dream and determination can succeed. Let's take an example of a community organization serving predominantly Black neighborhoods. With no-code AI platforms like Zapier, these community organizations can now automate admin tasks, freeing up time and resources to focus on serving their community more effectively. The no-code AI revolution is revolutionizing the way we approach technology, making it more inclusive and accessible to all. As we continue to advocate for accessible technology and support initiatives that empower individuals from all backgrounds, let's work together to create a future where everyone has the opportunity to succeed. Thanks for joining me today on this journey, and let's keep pushing for more inclusivity in the technology industry. Be sure to follow me on LinkedIn at Jimmara Sky for more insights and updates on how we are empowering, building, and transforming the communities through AI accessibility. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to Hire the Right Whom, Team DNA that transforms an organization by myself, Omar L. Harris. A little bit about me to start. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I am a Cancer for all you June and July babies out there. I attended the illustrious Florida A&M University. I had a 20-plus year career in the global pharmaceutical industry in the US, Middle East, Latin America, and Asia before transitioning into my own consultancy, where now I am a consultant, a speaker, trainer, coach, author, founder, and a screenwriter even. And I would describe myself as an optimist, change catalyst, and innovator. And it's within that capacity of innovator that I come to you today. Because innovation begins and ends with the right people. Without the right people on board, And without them sharing and pursuing a shared vision and purpose, it's very difficult to ultimately innovate. So ultimately, talking about technology innovation, you cannot talk about these subjects without talking about people. You can talk about all the trends in the world, AI, and augmented reality, and any of these things. But ultimately, at the back end of all of them, and in the front end in multiple cases, are humans. And here are some examples. For example, we would not have achieved the COVID-19 mRNA vaccines without scientists like Catalin Carrico and Drew Weissman, who pioneered the technology. It was people who did this. Or AI-driven initiatives for ocean cleanup. We know that the ocean needs to be cleaned, and we have microplastics invading our food chain, and this is really, really a big problem. But here, people are coming together in nonprofits and startups like the Ocean Cleanup and Clear Blue Sea to really be significant players in this space. There's innovation happening to increase more accessible education through augmented reality technology. And startups like Labster, populated by people, have been pioneers in integrating augmented reality into education. So without the right people, it is really impossible to innovate and deliver technology. However, when teams don't function well, innovation becomes very, very challenging. So basically, this is what happens when groups of people come together is they're at odds with each other, everyone moving in a different direction and not knowing how they're going to coalesce to actually achieve their collective goal. The key concept here comes from a book that came out in the early 2000s called From Good to Great by Jim Collins. And in this book, there are several principles that were basically defined via a study of 10 what they call good to great companies versus who delivered 10 times or 30 times stock market results versus a comparator group over the course of 30 years. And one of the key principles of this book is called first who, then what. And this principle really means that the best organizations focus on getting the right people on the bus before they decide where they want to go. The right people come on the bus before they decide where they want to go. So today's leaders, we have to go beyond education, experience, and pedigree and identify the attributes that will lead to high performance teams and organizations. So I showed in the previous slide about all of disorganization that happens. Well, there's a hiring mechanism that I'm going to introduce to you that actually allows you to hack that process and get people on the same page much faster. It's by hiring for the right, what I call team DNA. This ultimately comes down to what matters more, the whom, work ethic, heart, optimism, maturity, and we'll get into more detail about that in a few seconds, or the typical things we look at when we're hiring people, like experience, education, pedigree, or even references. And hopefully by the end of this presentation, you will agree with me that behavioral attributes, team DNA, ultimately will lead to greater innovation than just having the right set of experiences, having gone to the right university, or having the right pedigree, or even how your friends and ex-colleagues speak of you. So let's talk about the first concept of the whom, which is work ethic. Work ethic really is defined by reliability, dedication, productivity, cooperation, and discipline. This really matters. Work ethic is fundamental because time is money in business, and business revolves around employee productivity. So you can't have productivity without work ethic. It's about will. It's about wanting to complete. It's about wanting to finish what we start. And either employees possess it or they have to be incentivized to do it. It's better to have employees who are internally motivated and internally driven versus having to continuously have incentives to drive people's productivity. I hope you would agree with that. So here's how you source for individuals with strong work ethic. First of all, work ethic looks like, to see it, it looks like people who are focused on doing it right the first time. They're efficient and they deliver on time and on schedule. That's what it looks like. That's how you see work ethic. It sounds like people saying things like, I always clarify expectations before I start a project. And I want full accountability for delivery. When you hear these words, these phrases, this is the indication that you are dealing with somebody with very strong work ethic. And it acts like people who are disciplined and fast-paced. They move quickly, but they have process and they have structure for how they go about their work. Moving on to heart. Heart is all about values, motivators, hobbies, goals, energizer, generosity, and courage. Heart really matters because right now, very few employees are actually engaged at work. So once again, you can do the really, really hard work of trying to figure out how to engage today's employees. We have 5 generations working together at the same time, from the Zoomers to the Boomers, as people say. And every group needs something different to engage them. But if you hire people who are naturally engaged, who are naturally goal-oriented, who possess strong values, who are naturally enthusiastic and curious, then this will automatically and magically begin to improve the engagement of your organization by bringing in that right DNA from the start. So sourcing for individuals with high heart, what does it look like? Well, it looks like smiling and leaning in. It's contagious energy. You can feel it when you're in the presence of somebody who has high heart. What does it sound like? I love a challenge. I'm proud of the impact I get to make in my work. These are the things you want to hear when you're talking to somebody with high heart. And what does it act like? It acts like bringing people together and readily giving praise. Someone who's generous with praise. These are people who have high heart. They are natural people engagers throughout your organization, and they're worth their weight in gold. Next attribute is optimism, which is about agility, flexibility, judgment, and resilience. And optimism really matters because we know that so many strategic plans ultimately fail, and failure is a part of success. So you need solution orientation, people who are resilient, people who are curious, and who are not going to be deterred by obstacles and pitfalls on the way to success. And so your optimists are your natural problem solvers. They never give up, and they infuse your team with the element of resilience that you need to ultimately deliver innovation. So sourcing with high optimism looks like people who are into root cause analysis, people who leverage decision trees and other structures to help them solve problems. It sounds like I've never let failure stop me from improving. And the more stressful the situation, the better I become. Music to some of you's ears, I imagine. And it acts like I'm analytical, fact-based, and I'm undeterred by setbacks. Basically, keep moving forward despite inevitable setbacks. Last but not least in the whom is maturity, which is about decisiveness, diplomacy, self-awareness, and attitude. Really, really core attributes to have. And this really matters because we know that teams are going to pass through storming and forming stages as they come together. And we want to make sure that people with maturity, they can move through storming much faster because they value performance over politics. Performance over politics. And they insulate your team from descending into chaos. They're natural referees who understand what's happening. They've been there before. They understand that this is natural and that productivity comes from productive conflict. So when you source for individuals who have high maturity, you're looking for what it looks like is people who can have conflict productively, and people who are ultimately calm and poised despite the amount of stress or what's going around them in the whirlwind. It sounds like I know I'm better as part of a team. This is really someone with high maturity. Or I trust first and with ease. People who give trust are people who are naturally mature. And what it acts like is people who are forgiving and who are tactful. So this is really, really important for us in our organizations in order for us to innovate. Now imagine the innovative capacity of a team full of these attributes, full of work ethic, reality-driven, productivity-focused, finish what we start, full of heart, shared passion, high engagement, combining strengths to minimize weaknesses, full of optimism, solution-oriented, resilient, curious, full of maturity, transparent, open to positive and corrective feedback, managing conflict productively. This is the key, the root of innovation, having a team comprised of individuals with these capabilities. And if you want to learn more about how to hire the right whom, then please connect with me. I'm happy to help and serve and support you. Once again, this is Omar L. Harris. You can reach me at omar@omarlharris.com, my website, omarlharris.com, or on LinkedIn, linkedin.com/n/Omar L. Harris. Thank you very much.
Are you ready to share your message with the world? Introducing PitchDB, the all-in-one platform revolutionizing the way speakers connect with podcasts, conferences, and media outlets. With access to over 3 million platforms, finding your perfect speaking opportunity has never been easier. Our AI integrations create personalized bios and pitches, setting you apart from the crowd. Join the movement of speakers taking the world stage today. Join now at pitchdb.com.
I don't know if you have ever been faced with the decision of life or death, but I have. I was 24 years old, living in Minneapolis, Minnesota, 6.5 months pregnant and on top of the world. I woke up one morning getting ready to go to my doctor's appointment. I get there. After the examination, he walks into the room and he says, I don't know how to tell you this, but you have to go to the hospital right now. And I looked at him in dismay. And I said, now? Why? What's wrong? He said, you have toxemia, a blood disorder, and we need to go get it all checked out. And I looked at him and I was just in shock. I didn't know what to say. And then I looked and I said, please let me go home and get my own clothes. I need to call my mother. Please, please. After much pleading, he agreed. I get home, I pick up the phone. Mama, hurry up, please come. She said, baby, what's wrong? I have to go to the hospital. Why? They said I have toxemia, blood disorder. Please, I need you. Baby, it's going to be okay. I'm on the next flight out. I get to the hospital and get all checked in. Learn that I'm going to have the baby by C-section that evening. The nurse walks in and she says, now you know this is a dangerous surgery. And because of the dangerous surgery, I need you to sign some paperwork. And the paperwork is to say, do you want to live or do you want your son to live if we get into complications? And I paused and I looked at her. And then I said, I absolutely want my son to live. I have had 24 years on this earth. And by being here 24 years, I've had a grand time. He needs to enjoy life. My mom can help take care of him. So I want him to live. After giving birth, I learned that I died on the table for 3 minutes. But here's the good news. He is 6'1", 230 pounds of a man doing extremely well and thriving. What I learned is that we all have to make decisions. And our decisions include choices. What choice will we take? As we look at leadership, making decisions about artificial intelligence and within the company, and we think about diversity, equity, and inclusion, one thing that we know for sure is the only way to begin to make that decision is to really be educated. So let's talk a little bit about what really is AI. AI is a model that learns from history. It learns from data that we include in that model. It learns from historical information, things that we train it to do. So if it doesn't have diversity information in it and it doesn't have the right data, you're not going to get the right outcomes. That's why they train AI models all the time. So what does that mean when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion? It means we have to have a diverse perspective at the table. We have to always ensure that as we're training these models and looking at how we're going to use the data, that our teams, the information that we're putting in it is reflective of our values, is reflective of what we want to represent within our company and organization, industry, and most importantly, to our employees as we continue to move forward. And the customers that are going to buy from us, because all of them don't look the same. So what I think is, as we begin to do this, there are several ways to address this. Number one, create a diverse IT team that is a council. Their whole responsibility is to ensure that there is all the information inside of the tool, the governance, the process, the way in which we move forward in diversity, equity, and inclusion. So they're the overseeing body. Now, this body should always go out and collaborate with other organizations and other entities like education institutions, nonprofits that actually specialize in equity in AI. They do exist. So that collaboration will ensure that they're bringing the best practices back to the organization and stay attuned with things that are changing. The second thing we need to do is reimagining our work and our workforce and creating those new opportunities. There's one thing for sure: the job roles that will not change in terms of what we need are the humanistic ones, the ones where we have to have human empathy, creativity, and strategic thinking. Those roles AI cannot replace. In addition, where we are managing others and talking about management, where we are interpreting and innovating, it doesn't replace them. But guess what? You can use AI as support to keep you going and to help you with things, but it's not a substitute. I'm going to say that again. It is support, but it is not a substitute. So we have to remember that as we're working with the workforce, we need to upskill. We need to make sure that our employees are able to gain the skill sets they need for those roles that are going to be there, that we do need to have. And not to mention the organizations that are doing the development of AI, the ones who are keeping the innovation going within AI. We want to make sure that the right skill sets are there and that we also provide them the mindset. Let's not forget about mindset, because we all know that every employee is sitting there listening to their favorite radio station, WIIFM. What's in it for me? In other words, how will this impact me? Are you going to help me grow? Are you truly looking to replace me? So our actions and behaviors of how we reimagining work becomes extremely important. And number three, it is extremely important for all of us to continue to conduct AI impact studies. So what does that mean? We need to evaluate the results of this AI. We need to make sure that the models are being trained the way we intend for our messages to be delivered, the way we want our customers to hear our impact. It is extremely important that we do that as we continue to move forward. It is also important that we are able to make these decisions where we know that it's going to be the best outcome for those that we're working with. So as we continue to face AI advancements and we continue to look at what it's going to do, leadership truly has a choice. The choice is, will I leverage AI as a substitute to help me grow my business and make it efficient and be inclusive from a diversity, equity, and inclusion perspective and continue to stay with my values and move forward? Or will I let AI control me? If you would like to contact me, please do so at VickiWrightHamilton.com. You can also contact me on LinkedIn. You can get me on Instagram and Facebook at Vicki W. Hamilton. And I look forward to having a conversation with you and would love to speak to your organization. Thank you.
And today we're going to talk about the top money myths that are keeping you broke. Once you bust free of these myths, you'll be able to build financial independence so you can stop feeling trapped, so you can have control over your life, so you can have more time and energy and money for the things you really care about. Despite all our hard work, seems like at the end of the day, we don't have enough time, money, or energy to spend on what truly makes us happy. And it's all because we've bought into 7 key myths. Now, this is a 10-minute presentation. I'm not going to have at my command the time to really dig into all 7 of those myths as I would as we were working on one-on-one, or if we were in group coaching, or if we were in a keynote kind of environment. Okay, so I'm going to gift you. That's right, it's a gift, y'all. A $500 value 3-month coaching package just for spending time with me today. I'll let you know how you can redeem that at the end. Together, we're going to uncover which of these money myths are holding you back and kick them out of your life for good. Before we look at the top 3 money myths that are keeping us broke, first, I want to tell you why I am so passionate about this thing. You see, people know me as retired Lieutenant Colonel Conway. They see the 13 books I've written, 2 of which were international bestsellers. They see the photo of me working at the White House and running marathons and Tough Mudders back in the day. They see the finalist for Miss Veteran America. But what they don't know is that I was written off at a very young age as being slow. And the pain of being excluded, it only made me work harder to prove my worth. And what they don't know is that as a cadet at the Air Force Academy, I was told I couldn't declare my major because they thought that blacks can't do physics. Well, I did it anyway. And what people don't see now are those days when I was struggling and on the verge of giving up, but too angry to let them be right. People don't see the tears I cried until my instructor, on a day when all the other physics instructors were out of the office, finally leveled with me. Look, he said, my job is to get rid of you. If you will stop coming in here, I will stop feeding you the wrong answers. I stopped going into his office, graduated as the #1 space physics grad, and did physics in the Air Force for 23 years. And those skills of perseverance came in handy, y'all, when I came home from a military trip to find my house sold, stuff thrown out, divorce papers in my face. Oh, and when the dust settled, I was a military single mom facing almost $1 million of debt. That was 2009. And today, I'm a completely retired, full-time mom running an international business that empowers women to win with money. Many of you watching, you have had people telling you what you can and can't do. You have had people feeding you the wrong answers, doing you wrong, sabotaging you. You persevered and you did it anyway. So I do want to celebrate that now. But I was never going to get there if I kept buying into the same money myths I grew up with. And neither will you. See, Forbes magazine reports that 78% of Americans are one emergency away from bankruptcy, and most Americans can't even cover a $400 emergency out of pocket. Even worse, money problems can fracture relationships, cause depression, shame, anxiety, and stifle the next generation's success. 80% of American households carry consumer debt and will never pay it off. The only thing they're leaving to the next generation is debt and disappointment. You didn't work this hard to be a statistic, so let's do something about it. Myth number 1, money is too complicated. I mean, there's the insurance thing, and then there's the stock market, and oh, by the way, you got to learn what to pick, when to pick it, and you could lose all your money, and what about penalties, and what's a penalty and what isn't, what's pre-tax, what's not pre-tax, what's allowed under the tax. I mean, the laws keep changing every day, right? And you're like, well, I want to get involved in that, but it's just too complicated. So you're taking the easy way. Maybe you put your money in your savings, good on you. You got money in a 401k, yeah, I'm happy for you. But deep down, money just feels so complicated. And you know that you could have had more. You could have been further along financially than where you are right now. And maybe you feel like there has got to be a better way. Well, there is. Myth number 2, the system is stacked against you. Now, let's be real. The system is stacked against many of us, especially women of color, no doubt about that. In fact, that's the core theme of my Juneteenth Legacy Conference. The system is stacked against us, and what are we going to do about it to build these 7- and 8-figure businesses? I want you to hear this clearly. The country's government system may be stacked against us. The culture of where you live. I live in rural Texas. Y'all, the culture around here is definitely stacked against me. Even the hiring and firing, promotion, official, unofficial policies might be stacked against you. But that does not mean that the monetary system is stacked against you. They just want you to feel that way so you'll feel hopeless and keep buying their stuff, so that you'll feel like you can't win and just settle for average. So you'll do like so many others and keep trading away the feast of freedom for the safety of crumbs from their table. Abundance is woven into the fabric of the universe. And whether you share my faith or not, this world was created with very specific laws that allow any of us to bust through generational cycles of poverty and sickness to become financially, physically, and relationally free. When you work with me, you will learn these time-tested success strategies and take your financial life to the next level. Myth number 3, and y'all, I don't care how well you're doing, there are times when almost every single person under the sound of my voice struggles with myth number 3, especially reflects in our money and our spending habits. Myth number 3, I am not enough. I mean, I've got money, I pay my bills, I've got good credit, yet you know. And when you look in the mirror, you tell yourself, I'm not good enough. Okay. You don't use those words. Maybe you say, I don't have the talent. Or maybe, oh, well, I have a college degree. Maybe, you know what? It's been a big challenge. It's been a rough year. I'm just going to care for myself. And really, maybe this is what you say. Really, I'm doing so well compared to my family and where I came from. I should just be happy with where I am. Most people see your success, but you know deep down there is another level. You don't know if you're good enough for that next level. So you don't put the time into it. You get so far and then self-sabotage. And that's the real danger of this myth. It demotivates and discourages you from taking the very simple actions that can change your wealth journey in just 24 hours. Now, you may think that these myths aren't holding you back, but if you're not where you want to be financially, I'm going to recommend that you sit down with me for a consult. We'll talk about the different ways that these myths show up in your life. We'll identify very clearly what the top myths are that are holding you back, and we will develop and execute a solid plan to help you get from point A where you are to point B where you want to go. I like to say point A where you are to point amazing where you want to be. But seriously though, I want to sit down with you because there's a million different financial strategies that are customized for a million different personalities. And that's one of the things that makes my wealth matrix different from any other financial program that you're going to find out there on the internet or in the library or anywhere else you look. Because our wealth matrix doesn't just look at your spending habits. It looks at your personality, looks at your strengths, looks at all the things that go into making you you. And we're not going to spend a whole lot of time in therapy to try to uncover deep down inside why you do what you do. We're just going to observe, I did this, this, and this when I said I wanted that, that, and that. And we're going to put strategies in place that help you bust through there so that you can finally have the life that you desire, so that you can finally enjoy the fruit of your labor, so that you can finally have the travel and the shopping and the peace that you have worked so hard for. I want you to go right now to jjclink.com/powercoach, and you will get this $500 worth of 3 months of coaching. Absolutely my gift to you. That's jjclink.com/powercoach. I'm JJ Conway. You can find me on social media at JJ Knows the Way. That's all I've got for you today. Y'all take care and be blessed.
Welcome to Sea Change, uniting HR, DEI, and marketing leaders to drive growth. My name is Karen McFarlane, and I run a fractional marketing collective called K Media, targeting companies on the verge of something big, from startups to fortunes. But moreover, I am a seasoned chief marketing officer obsessed with helping my fellow marketers realize the power and influence they hold in advancing diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. For the past 3 years, I've been a staunch champion of DEIB in marketing and projecting this message on bigger platforms. For the past 20 so years, I've been living it and seeing it one client at a time. In fact, I've become so obsessed with this topic that I launched a new initiative called Colossal Work that centers DEIB in marketing. And the reason why is because of this statement right here. Marketing has the power and influence to make a difference. Now, I would argue that no other department in an organization can wield as much market influence as the marketing department, as we are the voice of the customer and the steward of the brand. It is already our job to understand our audiences and to tap into their needs and emotions, and also to make them pay attention to our brands in a way that yields a desired response for our company while still satisfying their needs as a buyer. Satisfying their needs as a buyer is an integral part of what we do, and you can only do that by tapping into those authentically through diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. In fact, that power and influence that I just talked about is so great that it permeates across 12 domains of business that I've identified. I've created the Marketing Influence Matrix for DEIB, which shows the true intersection of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging and marketing. Therefore, when you look at this, I know it looks overwhelming, right? There is so much to unpack here, and also so much to impact, whether you have a direct or an indirect influence over any of these domains. So your universe is really huge, and that's a fact, right? But there's also zero expectation that you'll be able to influence all these things at once. What I'm inviting marketers to do is, number one, again, recognize their power and influence, and then take action and steps, right? And that means chipping away at these areas with determination and resilience. So we help you over here at Colossal Work do that by surfacing insights from marketers, and also identifying highly scalable ways for marketers to level up their DEIB efforts. So you can find very specific opportunities for action in these two published reports highlighted here, but I'll call out a few insights that may pique your interest. In both reports, we talked to 25 marketing executives from a variety of industries and geographies and sizes, because we wanted a real cross-representation of the market. Not surprisingly, these marketing executives that agreed to talk about DEI were invested in it. They came from companies that prioritize DEI. 85% said that their companies are actively changing their systems to address DEI. And 50% of participant organizations already had dedicated DEI budget beyond headcount. Now, in the report, I have to say we did not dive deeply into budget, but all the participants agreed that your budget typically reflects the level of priority your organization places on DEI. And by including it as part of your budgeting process, you're demonstrating to your employees how much you care about it and how much you see it as a key financial indicator of success, right? And again, this goes beyond headcount into marketing strategy and campaigns, which we'll touch on a little bit later. But of course, recruitment was a key part of it because you actually you need the talent, right, to execute. And that talent is both internal and external when you talk about your suppliers and agencies, which is the subject of a second report, which we'll talk about in a moment. We also talked about the emerging role of the DEI leaders. Now, when this report was published, there was a great push towards hiring chief diversity officers. And since then, we've seen a mass exodus of that group, and that's a different conversation. But what I'd like to highlight here is that marketers should not cede their power just because there's some resistance. In fact, it is more important than ever that marketers step up across all these different domains and advance the core principles of DEI. And to that end, we had also talked about the role of the CMO and how critical it was. And 85% of the CMOs that were involved in the first report were very confident that their teams were able to address DEI issues from an internal perspective, but also externally through campaigns and strategy. Talking to one Fortune 500 company, she brought up a very simple example of how DEI relates to their audiences and their business purpose and culture. And, you know, the simple but important example was, because they do a lot of their business online, was how does a blind person purchase from our website, or how does a deaf person experience our videos, right? And we engaged in a lot of conversation around what is marketing's role when it comes to representation and enabling that proper representation. Again, you know, a lot of that was internally focused, but as we entered the second domain, we wanted to take a look at supplier diversity, right? Many marketing organizations leverage agencies of a variety of different sorts to supplement their workforce. And so again, the report has a wealth of information and insights from your peers and opportunities for action, but the foundation of what we surface from those conversations is represented here in the C diagram. C stands for sourcing, engagement, and amplification. This happens in three waves. Wave one, sourcing, is really around defining diversity and what does that mean for your organization, or what are you prioritizing in the immediate future? Identifying vendors was a challenge faced by many of the participants, you know, because, you know, diverse suppliers don't necessarily hang a shingle on saying, hey, I'm a Black-owned business or LGBTQ-owned business. Rather, they lead with their work. So identifying diverse suppliers was a challenge. And we also talked about RFP notification and how you can extend that outreach. And wave two was around engagement. And that really meant once you found a supplier, how do you welcome them into your organization? For smaller companies, that was a simpler process. But as the organizations got larger and they had procurement teams, those systems became more complex, right? And so a key point here was for marketers to understand what that vendor process is. Don't just pass off your suppliers to the procurement and say, see ya, hope you make it through, but understand the process and advocate in places where you can. It's also important to understand or remember that marketing is a customer of the procurement team. So if you want someone or you need something specific, you can give your requirements to the procurement team and have them help you find them, or try to approve the vendor that you have selected. And lastly was amplification, which was a big surprise for me, but also for other marketers, as you know, what vendors wanted was help getting more business, right? And so marketers know how important it is to provide things like case studies, press releases, articles, things of that nature that give you credibility in market, or to even provide internal or external referrals. And so that was a huge area of opportunity for marketers. And also, of course, tracking progress and identifying those systemic issues that may be throwing up barriers. Before we kind of close out, I wanted to highlight what DEI is not. Traditionally, that DEI may fall under HR. I have views about that, which we don't have time to share. And then it filters down into other areas like procurement and marketing that we're talking about today. But what DEI really is, I don't even think this is a perfect graphic, but it is this wonderful mosaic that's integrated, that should be filtered and integrated throughout all the different departments of your organization. And it's cyclical, right? It's an ongoing, continuous cycle of improvement and hopefully progress, right? And so while marketing has its own little bucket here, as we saw in the marketing influence matrix, it has lots of influence and opportunity to lead the way and model behavior. And I hope that this session gives you a chance to understand how important that is and how you can do that. But again, it's about continuous movement and improvement. And so I love this quote from Denzel Washington that says, "Don't confuse movement with progress, because you can run in place and not get anything done." And so again, it's about understanding that power and influence, understanding the levers that you can take, and working with people and doing your research and finding resources that are going to help you make a meaningful difference in both macro and micro ways, right? So if you need any help, here's where to find me, Karen@colossal.work. I'm here to help you understand what those opportunities are and to help you realize your marketing power. Thank you so much for listening.
Hello, my name is Michael Wynn. I'm a habit success strategist, financial expert, and authenticity coach from Detroit. I am so honored to be part of the Equity Leadership Virtual Summit. Your habits will determine your level of success. I believe the equity and leadership is the realm of our economy and financial literacy. It is imperative that we champion financial inclusive, empower diverse communities, and navigate evolving regulations to ensure equity access to all financial products and services. For all, each individual, all, that is an important part. One of the most powerful tools that we have in champion financial inclusive is education. To earn more is to learn more. By equipping our individuals with the knowledge and the skills necessary to navigate through the complexity of this financial world, we will empower them to take control of their own economic futures. Thus, education must be accessible to all, regardless of the social, economics, and status of the background. That being said, I believe that Congress should do more to get involved with seeing that each state is equipped with the proper learning resources of financial literacy. Yet they have done a great job identifying Financial Literacy Month in April and providing the resources through the federal. But those 27 states, there are states laws, but it's only 27 states that require high school students to graduate with personal finance or financial literacy. I believe we got to do something to get all states. Otherwise, we are going to still loon lagoon. The problem is that Americans is only 57% financially literate. That survey was done through Standards and Poor. In the last few years, it haven't changed much more than 60%, which is a huge deficit. Worse yet, Gen Z can't even pass a 28-question exam on personal finance, over 50%. 50% or less has been the score out of those few 5 or 6 generations. I think they ranked the lowest. In 8 basic areas, such as earnings, consuming, savings, investments, borrowing, managing debt, insurance, comprehensive risk, and the go-to information, where to get information, what information is necessary for them to do certain things. We have to make financial literacy a more important tool for not just young people to grow and be. We have to have it where our individuals, our older people have a fair knowledge of what they need to do as well. Our resources have to be educated constantly. As a habit success strategist, I wrote a book about finances, financial literacy, the habit effect, your life, your money. Each of the chapters is a habit to promote people. As far as one of the habits is value good habits for financial stability. Because I believe that we should appreciate breaking even. It's a mindset. To break even before you speak of financial freedom is really important. Avoid financial stress because stress costs us so much. I believe like it's $1 million a day right now on the average for people to take off for stress. But if stress is in the household, then it gets worse. Stress leads to the rest, such as like chronic stress, depression, bipolar depression, which I had at once. That's why I'm a habit success. I learned how to use habits to get off of that, through that disorder. Fact remains, we have to avoid financial stress. Another habit is to focus on understanding. To earn more is to learn more. We have to teach our individual, especially young people, that GoFundMe is not an insurance policy and Cash App is not a major bank. We have to understand banking, traditional banking, credit unions, commercial banking, and what they can do for us. And some creates their own banks. We understand that. But getting an understanding on banking in general is a necessity that we have to do. Understanding budgeting, tracking income, tracking expenses, debt management, savings, investments, require to put money aside. Young people don't know the value of just putting money aside so it can grow through the future. Become millionaire at less than 50 years old. We have to change their mindset about credit. Your credit and your credit report is your integrity report. It follows you everywhere. Some people have failed to get jobs, car insurance, and many other areas that your credit shows up. Home ownership, just buying in general, consumer, being an educated consumer. Generational wealth come with instructions. You might be an opportunity to create a legacy, pass money down, but it should be with instructions, and the person that's receiving it should understand that that money is to grow, live on, and then pass it down. Make a goal, make a pledge to find a way to send that generational wealth and put it in the best position that it can be in. And habit effect, it talks about money plans that we can create ways of doing things, money plans that we can create ways of understanding how to spend money. It's so important to be on the right page when it comes to your finances. There's business, follow success, It's Your Business is a chapter I teach people what the entity structure is. They're not too savvy to not know what a balance sheet, an income statement, or a statement of cash flows is and the uses as they go through that sole proprietorship, LLC, corporation, or sub S. Connect the dots with that. Understanding our education is so powerful. And yet we have one of the last chapters I have, Keep It As Yours, because it's really scary what artificial intelligence here now, and it's a beast. Efficient, effective, awesome, whatever you want to call it. But it's also ugly, and it could be a danger, especially to scam artists. They can create whatever they want to and take your money. Understand there's money decisions to be made. There's money grabbers, there's money penalties, and there's money scams. The money decisions come with deal or no deal. You have to be clear on spending your money for what. Then you have situations with penalties. It's not just a write-off. It's a lack of control. Timeliness, paying your bills on time. The money grabbers, buy it now and pay for it later. We often hear that. And as I said, the money scams, we have to watch, understand what authentications is, the financial risk behind our dollars that we earn and we grow. There's so much to learn in this environment, but yet education alone is not enough. We must address the systematic barriers of preventing equitable access to financial products and services. No single organization or sector can tackle the challenges alone. By working together, we can leverage our collective expertise in resolving to create lasting change. This includes partnerships with financial institutions, community organizations, government organizations to develop innovative solutions to address the needs for the underserved communities. In conclusion, we have responsibility to ensure that everyone has equitable access to the tools and the knowledge needed to achieve the economic security and prosperity. By working and making good habit decisions, we can build better bridges, we can break down barriers, we can create a future where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. My name is Michael Wynn. You can reach me at michaelwynn.com or Coach Wynn, that's what WIN.com, or Mike Wynn Habits. Still WYNN is my name. But it was great being a part of this, and I hope that you be part of the solution. Thank you.
Meet PitchDB, the ultimate platform for speakers looking to make their mark on podcasts, conferences, and media outlets. PitchDB provides access to over 3 million platforms, ensuring you find the perfect avenue for your message. With AI integrations, your bios and pitches are tailored uniquely to each opportunity, giving you the edge you need. Join now at pitchdb.com.
and welcome to everyone tuning in today. My name is Dr. Rumbidzai Mafuka, and I'm the founder and CEO of I Am Willing. I Am Willing is a coaching platform that supports Black families ready to take the first steps to creating legacy plans that pass on their wealth and share their wishes. You may be wondering why a strategy and operations consultant and executive coach with 15 years of experience in change leadership is interested in helping people create legacy plans. Well, my passion for this work truly merges the professional and the personal. Professionally, I have an ability to help leaders and organizations do the things they say they want to do, but are actually struggling to do. From the CIA to Twitter, I facilitated the hard conversations that help get things done. Personally, I've seen how not having a conversation about legacy planning can devastate a family. At the height of the COVID pandemic in 2020, 2 family members passed away without a will or a plan and no named beneficiaries on their accounts. The hardest part of the loss, aside from losing them so suddenly and on the same day, a week before Christmas, was not knowing what they wanted and not having access to their financial accounts to take care of the children and grandchildren they left behind. I committed myself right then and there to helping others begin these hard conversations and take those first steps towards a plan and building a legacy focused on life and love and how they want to be remembered and celebrated. So you might be wondering, what do legacy plans have to do with my organization or company culture? I believe that legacy planning actually holds untapped potential for diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging initiatives in 2 fundamental ways. 1, legacy planning is a key way to close the wealth gap because it helps families pass on wealth earned today to future generations. And 2, by integrating legacy planning into your DEIB initiatives, you can create an environment where every employee feels valued, understood, and most importantly, confident in their future. This strategy invites us to expand our notion of DEIB to include financial wellness and legacy building. After all, aren't we all building our career and our wealth for the benefit of our families and our future? Gen Z workers, for example, are committed to planning for their future and are interested in benefits beyond the traditional 401k, such as emergency savings accounts, financial wellness programs, and tuition reimbursement. Incorporating legacy planning into DEIB work is about fostering a workplace that values economic inclusion at every level, including building wealth for future generations. So here's a little bit of data. According to the National Association of Estate Planners and Councils, individuals with a clear legacy plan exhibit 35% more confidence about their future. Transferring this confidence to our workplaces could revolutionize employee morale and preparedness for future challenges. Integrating legacy planning into DEIB strategies begins with leveraging financial education as an inclusivity tool. It's about more than financial well-being through budgets and savings. It's actually about fostering a sense of belonging by ensuring that employees see a future for themselves and their families. So how do we do this work? Well, here are a few ideas. Envision a scenario where all employees, from the newest hires to the top executives, engage in workshops focused on financial literacy and legacy preparation, particularly on the importance of naming beneficiaries. Surprisingly, only 30% of individuals have taken this simple yet crucial step towards passing on wealth. This kind of initiative democratizes financial understanding across all levels, fostering a culture of mutual support and collective growth. Your goal? To achieve full participation in designating beneficiaries for company-sponsored retirement accounts. Here's another example. Consider the integration of healthcare directives into these legacy planning conversations. This approach provides employees with essential tools to articulate their healthcare preferences, significantly reducing the burden on families during medical emergencies. Such proactive measures not only offer peace of mind, but also strengthen the company's culture of care. Employees are reassured, knowing their future healthcare needs are planned for, which enhances a sense of security and belonging within the workplace. And who doesn't want employees and colleagues that feel confident about their future? We all do. And that's why I urge you to initiate conversations about legacy planning in your organization. Consider how it can amplify your DEIB efforts and build a more resilient culture. For those interested in pioneering this journey in their workplaces, I'm offering a free consultation to DEI and HR leaders on integrating legacy planning into their strategies. It's an opportunity to discuss bespoke approaches to elevate your organization's commitment to an inclusive future. Now, if this has prompted you to think about your personal legacy planning journey, and I hope it has, you can also find more information about the 3-step journey to a legacy plan on my website, iamwilling.us, and on Instagram at iamwilling_US. In closing, I'd like to leave you with this thought. Personally and professionally, we can build legacies today that lay the foundation for a more confident, inclusive tomorrow. So I hope you'll join me in passing on wealth and wishes in the name of life, love, and legacy.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Ashley Dash, your favorite global HR consultant. Today, we're going to be talking about healing work hurt, 3 proven strategies to ditch doubt, rebuild confidence, and overcome overwhelm in the office. So let's get started. The first thing you need to know is that workplace stress is estimated to cost the United States economy more than $500 billion. Yes, that is billion with a B. However, it's not just a problem in the United States. It's a problem all around the world. As you can see on your screen, you'll see the top 10 cities with the highest burnout. And of the top 10 cities, the ones highlighted in yellow are ones I've actually worked in personally. So I understand a thing or two about overcoming burnout and giving strategies so that you can move forward successfully. As I'm speaking about work hurt, many of you may ask the question, well, what exactly is it? Work hurt is your inner thoughts plus fear. Together, this is the definition of work hurt. We have to understand that the symptoms we see in the workplace of work hurt, like toxic bosses, micromanaging, toxic cultures, employees and coworkers that you can't trust, those are symptoms. That's not actually the problem. The real root cause of our issues all starts inside of our heads with our thoughts. Thoughts that sound like, I don't deserve this because when I tried to do this before, it didn't work out because, or ... These are all thoughts that we have in our brain. These aren't conversations that we're having with our coworkers, with our friends, with our closest family members, or even accountability partners. These are thoughts and silent battles that we're having by ourselves with ourselves. It sounds like, I guess I deserve this because ... They are not listening to me. And that's why I had to. If you ever remember thinking these thoughts, understand that these are triggers to the beginning of work hurt. If you're a highly educated business professional, one of the thoughts that most people think most frequently is, I should know better because. We also have experiences like, I can't believe I allowed them to ... We have to remember these thoughts are really loud in our minds, but they're silent in the workplace. They show up in behaviors, actions, and stories. Other thoughts that people experience sound like, I'll never ... because. I shouldn't even apply for this job because maybe the last time I applied, I didn't get an interview, or when I tried, they said I wasn't qualified. These thoughts often hold us back from our best professional lives and lead to burnout and overwhelm in the office. As I was sharing before, these thoughts actually turn into beliefs, and these beliefs actually become stories that show up in our lives and have unsatisfactory results in the workplace. Let's walk through one of the beliefs, their story, and the result of that story. Let's take a look at the action taker. Someone who is really down to do amazing things in the office. They take action, they show up to work, they show up on time, they've gone to school, they've invested in themselves. They've done so many amazing things to get ahead. They've taken certification programs, they've been on YouTube learning and transforming themselves. They've done so many amazing things. Yet the story for them is they're taking all of these actions, but they're still not achieving their goals. The result for many people in this category is high stress, mentally, physically, and emotionally. We have to remember that our beliefs and our stories and our results are all intertwined. They're all related and they all make sense. You have to think, if you're someone who is constantly looking to improve themselves and you're doing all this wonderful work and you're transforming your life, and then you get to the point where you're applying for positions, you're trying, but you're still not getting to where you want to be. Again, mentally, physically, emotionally, even financially. This will take a turn and turn into work hurt and in turn allow us not to show up at work in the best way, in the most full version of ourselves. This will make us frustrated with our working environment, with our bosses, with our coworkers. These work hurt beliefs, stories, and results are the key to why many of us are not happy in our careers, happy at work, and achieving and moving forward and what we would actually like to do. And one of the things I would like each of you to understand is that even positive beliefs can lead to negative results, as you see right here in this example. However, many people are saying, okay, Dr. Dash, that makes sense, but what do I actually do about it? And I'm so glad you asked. There's actually a 3-step roadmap that we can walk through so that you can learn how to manage these processes by yourself. So the first step in healing work hurt is reflecting on the thoughts. Where did they come from? What story or memory are attached to them? Having the opportunity to sit down in a space of self-reflection is going to be key to understanding what's really happening and if there's any patterns that you need to be aware of in your professional life. Next, we have to be honest about what really happened and ask ourselves, are we sure? Are we sure what we think, what we remember is actually what really happened? Are there any other extenuating circumstances that maybe I wasn't aware of at the time? Was there additional information that maybe I needed, however, I didn't have access to? This is the time to not only think about your part, but think about everyone that was involved in that memory, in that thought, and in that story. Once we're really honest and analytical about what really happened and questioning ourselves about, are we sure that happens? The final step is to take responsibility. Oftentimes, it's difficult for many professionals because the first thought we think is, I didn't do anything wrong. What happened to me at work, having a toxic boss, having a horrible coworker, it wasn't my fault. It was unfair. And this is right. This is correct. It was unfair. However, we have to own the part that we played in it. Sometimes that means staying in jobs too long, far beyond the expiration date. Other times, it's not taking a stand, not being courageous and having courageous conversations when we should have, or being silent at a time that maybe what we shared wasn't the most helpful to share in that moment. Healing work hurt is an ongoing process, and this is simply the beginning. If you have any questions, I would love for you to ask questions and connect with me on LinkedIn at Dr. Ashley Dash. Thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Chat with you soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
My name is Charles Jackson. I am a community and faith-based liaison. I'm a certified diversity practitioner, and I'm currently serving as Health Equity Director in Baltimore City. In the short time we have together, I want to talk to you about some of the lessons I've learned coordinating African American health campaigns around the country. So first, let's start with the numbers. African Americans only make up about 13.4% of the population. Also, let's look at another set of numbers. When I'm thinking about how do I create an outreach campaign that gets to the most amount of Black Americans at the same time, I first think about what are some of the oldest organizations in the country and some of the oldest well-established organizations that have been working with the Black community. And those are HBCUs, as well as Black churches. While I'm on the topic of HBCUs, I have to talk about Black Greek letter organizations. Black Greek letter organizations, fraternities, sororities, also known as the Divine Nine, have been around for over 100 years. Another set of organizations which have also been around over 100 years are historic civil rights organizations. Some of them include the NAACP as well as the National Urban League. These two groups are already in your local communities, and they're already doing the work in the community. Sometimes some may be a little bit larger than others, some are smaller, but they have been doing community work for well over 100 years, and they've already have an established network of people to be able to get information out quickly. These organizations have what the ME organization, Motivational Educational Entertainment Production Company, says. They have the keys to the community. They have credibility, they have trust, they have access, and they're already involved in the local communities. But how do you partner with them? You partner by first identifying your potential partner. You contact them, call, email, go in person to see if they are available to meet with you. You find champions in that organization and you follow up. I have to repeat that again, follow up and follow up. Remember, your urgency is not their emergency. Once you finally get in person or you finally get these meetings started, you have to create win-win situations for everyone. Address the needs of the community that they are serving and also address the needs of the leadership within that organization. Just want to take a step back. And when we're talking about health disparities, the only thing that a health disparity is the difference between health outcomes between two groups. When we're talking about health equity, I'll use my own definition. How are communities getting their health needs met in the way that they need their needs met? So when we're talking about partnering with historically Black organizations and community groups, we have to think about what are the needs of that community first. For example, I was listening to a community association talk about a funder came in and said, we want to assist with making your community more safe. Well, the community said, great, we want you to purchase us more lights, street lights, so we can see. Funder, the organizations that were involved, the legislative policy people that were involved, all thought these great initiatives around safety were going to happen by some great measure. The community just wanted lights. You have to listen to the subject matter experts of their lives, and that's the community members. I'll have to say, I learned something from subject matter experts within the 18 to 24 population. I was doing work with the HBCU, and we were talking about HIV and substance abuse, as well as some other issues. And while we were doing an HIV screening, I thought we should put up these posters and billboards around the campus. And the 18 to 24-year-old said, Mr. Jackson, that's not going to work. And I thought, okay, I was a peer leader. I know what I'm talking about when I was in college. And they said, we're going to put it on Twitter and we're going to put it on Instagram. I told them, everyone's not on Twitter. Everyone is not on Instagram. And you know what they told me? Yes, they are. After listening to those students, we ended up having hundreds of students show up to get HIV testing. I had to relearn the lesson that the subject matter experts of that community live in that community, are a part of that community, and know their community much better than I do. Of course, there are some obstacles when trying to work with the community to defeat health inequities. Sometimes there's no buy-in from leadership trying to plan events or coordinate things at the same time when the organization is also planning or coordinating events, and also having to go through hierarchy and chain of command. I still remember a couple of times where partnering with churches where I had some obstacles. One church I partnered with around cancer prevention did not want me to come back in to partner with them around flu vaccines because they did not want, quote unquote, flu shots at their church because they did not believe in them. Another time at a different church, it was the mega church, that it was a little bit harder to partner because we were partnering during the month of September, but we had started the conversation right before summer break. And in some states, in cities, I should say, churches will shut down for the summer and only do things like Vacation Bible School and Sunday service. So I had to tell our partner that I can't get the pastor on the line or many of the people on the phone because they're not in church right now. Actually, the pastor is praying over the National Democratic Convention this week. We're not their priority. Once you understand that you're not the priority, it also helps with being able to understand the full needs of the organizations that you're working with. And then you can move to strategizing around whatever the health initiative that you are working on. So here's a quick recap. Find the local Black faith space, HBCU, civil rights organization, community-based organization to partner with. Contact them, build a rapport and credibility with these organizations. Find champions within the organizations who can move your message forward, and they will be the ones to be able to not only connect the dots for you, but they'll also be able to advocate on your behalf when you're not there. Follow up, follow up, follow up. And remember that you're not the priority. And then finally create a win-win situation by addressing the needs of the organization and that community that they serve. Execute your strategies and then leave at the agreed upon time. For more information and for more in-depth information, please go to charlesdjackson.com for a free one-pager that explains everything that I just talked about, as also as some highlights from the past campaigns that I've worked on.